Okay, we got a documentary. John Candy, I Like Me.
Yep. I don't usually have an Amazon Prime subscription, but I ended up signing up for a trial when I needed something on the double. So I said, well, what's something we can watch on Amazon that, take advantage of this windfall? And I Like Me immediately jumped out at us.
Yes, because both of us really like John Candy. We grew up on watching his movies. We've reviewed some of his movies for the channel. Actually, probably some of his best movies for the channel.
And some of his mediocre ones. I don't know if we've hit the real depth of John Candy. There's some movie of his that I remember watching years ago and thinking, oh, this is kind of crap.
I'm trying to think what movie that could be. Was it Nothing But Trouble?
Is that the one where he has like the fantasy about giving himself a little self-love and a boat goes by? That because that sounds like nothing but that title sounds familiar.
It might have been, yeah, or that might have been. I don't think that was Delirious.
Maybe. Either way, we're here to talk about good John Candy.
Yeah, we're here to talk about John. Yeah, and the documentary was done by. It was actually directed by Colin Hanks, who is the son of Tom Hanks. He's been in a few movies here and there. Looks just like him. They look almost exactly alike. And one of the producers was Ryan Reynolds, fellow Canadian.
Right. Hence the maximum effort production tag at the start.
Yes. Yeah, I noticed that too. Yeah, and so basically it actually started off with it's kind of funny. It starts off with the interview with Bill Murray, who if I know anything about the guy, like he usually doesn't do this kind of thing. He usually doesn't do documentaries or behind the scenes stuff. He usually he's a very kind of like
he's kind of cantankerous.
He's very cantankerous and a little bit of a recluse. So it's kind of interesting to see him do something like this. Although, I mean, like everybody that they interviewed in this thing, he and John Candy were old lifelong friends for many many years. So I guess it didn't surprise me too much. What I thought was kind of funny in there was he said, man, I'm gonna have a really hard time finding anything bad to say about John Candy.
Yeah, which pretty much held clear. It's like John Candy's only real enemy was himself when you get down to it.
Yeah. And of course, the documentary goes into a lot of his early life, and before he went into acting and went into comedy. What I had forgotten was that his father passed away on John Candy's 5th birthday.
Yeah, that's gonna mess a guy up.
Yeah, and I think that really, I think he carried that like his entire life.
Absolutely, like they talked about how he had issues with, with his weight and smoking and drinking.
Yeah,
it's like it's a common coping mechanism when you like don't have, or when you feel like you're missing something, to try to fill it.
right. Yeah. And and it's also for that reason too that he never liked going to the doctor.
Right, like the doctor would say, "Hey, you got to lose weight."
Yeah, you got to lose weight. You got to stop drinking. You got to stop smoking.
Right, because as he put it, as they said, he was convinced he had his own dad's heart and was going to have the same fate happen to him.
Yeah, and ultimately, yeah, he did. But yeah, and they interviewed a lot of people in this movie, or this documentary. I mean, they had they had Tom Hanks in there. Of course, his son directed it, so obviously he would be on there. But they did, I think they did like at least 2 movies together, maybe 3. But the one they talked about was Splash, which that was a kind of, I think that was the movie that really set him or really got him noticed. I mean, he'd done like Stripes and Vacation and a few bit roles here and there. But then when he was in Splash with with Tom Hanks, I think that's what really got him noticed, because Splash was a big movie when it came out.
I've never actually seen Splash.
I've seen parts of it. I've never seen it all the way through. I have seen the racquetball scene.
Yeah, might be one to throw into our review list at some point.
Yeah. And the story with when they were filming the racquetball scene was pretty funny, because he apparently, like, the night before they filmed it, he ran into Jack Nicholson in a bar, and they just spent all night he spent all night drinking with Jack Nicholson.
As one does.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, he his on-screen persona and his off-screen persona seem to be pretty similar to each other, in terms of just how he lived his life and how he carried himself, and how he treated others. That was one of the things that was very very, very noticeable when everybody talked about him, was just how giving he was of his time and of his and money, even, just
I always tried to treat the service industry people well.
Because this whole thing was like, we're because he was like that at one time, and everybody else that he worked with were at that stage at one point. So he knew what it was like. And they also interviewed his family. They interviewed his wife and his son and daughter. And by the way, his son looks just like him.
Just skinny.
Skinny, yeah.
And like his son had you could tell just how badly affected it was, because I think he was roughly the same age as John was when his dad passed.
Yeah.
So it really, the man's, unfortunately, the man seemed kind of haunted. Now, would he seem like that if you just ran into him on the street? Don't know, of course, because of course we were only really seeing him dredging up memories of his dad. So
right, yeah. And the other thing that I forgot too was that he was part owner of the Toronto Argonauts, which was the Canadian Football League team. He bought it with Wayne Gretzky and another guy who turned out to be a crook. And just how passionate he was about that. And I forgot they actually won the championship, like that first year when he bought the team. And he actually played football. I forgot about that too. And he didn't have a kneecap. He lost his kneecap on his left knee.
Yeah, and when you think about all the stunts he did over the years, that's kind of nuts.
Yeah, well, how do you walk without a kneecap?
Or for that matter, why did he possibly think the U.S. Army was going to accept him like that?
Yeah. Yeah, that was the other thing too. He wanted to join the U.S. Army to go fight in Vietnam, and they didn't take him because he didn't have a kneecap.
Yeah, so it's just kind of funny. I'd say that outside like the subject matter, this is like a typical documentary of this sort. You just get a mix of home footage, interviews with people who knew him. It's not reinventing the wheel here at all.
No, it's not. Yeah, and it's what you would expect. They, with a guy that was beloved as John Candy was, and still is. It's it's to be expected. Yeah, it's exactly what you'd think. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this isn't some tell-all where you find out about his secret family in Schenectady or whatever.
Yeah. He's having affairs with multiple women, and none of that. The kind of the big thing was they did talk about like his weight and
Mhm.
how like it wasn't it seemed like it was obviously a very sensitive sore subject for him because
Mhm.
they showed all these interviews where the reporter kept bringing it up, and you could tell looking at him he was getting uncomfortable with answering those questions.
Right.
And and the other part of it too was like, if he would lose any weight at all, then all the Hollywood people were like, "Don't lose any weight. We need to cast you as the fat guy in the movie."
Right. It's kind of a bad trap to be in, to be like, you get typecast as a certain type of thing. Well, yeah, and when you get down to it, it still kind of happens today.
Yeah,
Like I would say, Kevin Smith barely looks like himself anymore
yeah,
after he had his heart. I think he had a heart attack, and then he did the potato diet to lose a bunch of weight really quick.
yeah. I remember that. Yeah, um, yeah, and also another kind of similar thing with so on Nickelodeon there was a show Drake and Josh, which I never watched it, but I've been around people who did. And the Josh Peck, he was the fat kid,
Hmm.
and I think it was like the last season of the show was when he dropped all the weight, and like he was like really skinny, and so they lost all the and most of the jokes about the kid centered around his weight. So then they
Mm.
lost that foil, and not only that, like the whole thing was that Drake was the cute guy and Josh was the fat kid, and of course now you got these two good looking guys.
Yeah. So, like, where's the contrast?
Right, yeah.
Um, like sometimes it can work out for you to change in your mid career. Like when Chris Pratt,
Yeah, Chris Pratt, yeah.
yeah, Chris Pratt lost a bunch of weight when he went on to go be a Star Lord. Um, I remember so he was the chubby guy on Parks and Recreation, and then like between one of the seasons, he showed up suddenly like all ripped. It's like, what happened? I know, I just started running a lot. Didn't stop.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, since the character was kind of a dumbass, it was kind of easy to cover up like that.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and the other thing too, I was the scene in with going back to John Candy, the scene in Stripes when there was a mud wrestling scene in there, and they wanted him to take his shirt off, but he didn't want to take his shirt off because he's a big guy, and he didn't want to do that scene to begin with, which I don't blame him. um, I know a lot of guys are probably like, "Oh yeah, I'll mud wrestle with a bunch of babes," but like, no,
Yeah,
doesn't that actually doesn't sound like fun.
it's like one of those things where it sounds good on paper, but then the actual logistics are just disgusting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, but like the crux of it all is, of course, we alluded to it, or DB alluded to it at the beginning of the review that he was kind of his own worst enemy. He did suffer from anxiety,
Yep.
which
Extreme perfectionism, the worry that he wasn't good enough.
yeah, yeah, um, which I can relate to. I think a lot of artists can relate to that. Um,
Hmm.
and it sounded like the last 2 or 3 years of his life it was really kicking his ass. And I will say, to his credit though, he did try to get better. I mean, he started going to therapy.
Hmm.
He got a personal trainer, went on a diet, tried to lose weight. But in the end, it just his heart just gave out on him. But yeah, I mean, it's great I highly recommend this documentary if you've got a Prime subscription. I mean, it's you get a lot of insight into him from the people who loved him, and from his
Right.
family, from all of his friends, and
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't think that, like, if you didn't already have some concept of who he was, you'd be super interested.
yeah,
Is the way I'll put it. like there are some documentaries where you can go in knowing nothing about the topic and come out interested. I think this one kind of relied on you already having some idea of who he was.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I would recommend watching some of his movies before watching this documentary. At the very least, watch like
Uncle
Planes,
Buck.
Trains, and Uncle Buck, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles.
Really, any
Great
of his Hughes movies.
Yeah, any of the Hughes movies. Yeah, yeah.
They did point out that everyone always associates Molly Ringwald with Hughes, but like he was in 7 of Hughes movies and she was in like 2, I think they said.
3.
Okay.
Yeah, that was Macaulay Culkin mentioned that. Yeah, and Macaulay Culkin was like, I've been in 3 John Hughes movies.
Yep. Actually, that's the other thing, is that the fact that like he was very caring and like seems to be a little bit aware that things weren't right with Macaulay Culkin's life.
Yeah. He mentioned that where because for those of you who don't know, Macaulay Culkin's father was a bastard. He stole all of his money, just treated him terribly, and Candy, when they were filming Uncle Buck, he was picking up on that, and he'd pull him aside and be like, "Hey, you okay? Everything all right?" Yeah.
And so I would say the fact that like Macaulay has not been at all shy about bad mouthing anybody, as far as I can tell. So the fact that he stood up for John is like, okay, that proves that it wasn't just his friends.
Right. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Anyhow, yep, good documentary, good use of a free Prime subscription trial. Now, I'm going to preface this next one as this is also another Amazon Prime poll. Amazon Prime is not necessarily the first place you think of to go to for anime.
Yeah.
I think to put it mildly, I think it's like Crunchyroll and Netflix. And like Netflix original anime can get or Netflix exclusive anime can get a bit of a reputation.
Yeah.